4 rooms, we'll have someone recording. If we get enough for 4 rooms, we may not, and so we may do 2. It might be a good conversation, just in 2.
I did start the recording, Shai.
Okay, so start, everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone. Again, I am Shai Roos, and we're doing the Strategic Foresight Workshop, and I hope we get some more people. But for those who have joined, thank you so much for your time. I hope we make it worth it, and hope we'll all have fun today. So with that, today's agenda is going to be quick introductions, and then a quick presentation to just get ourselves oriented to the community a little bit, so that it's fresh in our minds when we start the visioning. And then we've got the visioning consists of 3 different things. And one is, we'll start with future trends. We'll look at 30 different trends, and you all get to tell us which trends, future trends, do you think will impact your community, and which time, or if they don't impact, you tell us that. And then we'll do some scenario development, and then we'll pull out the common themes from it. So this is our agenda for today. We will have a break at 11:15 for 30 minutes for everyone. So I'm not going to make you sit through 4 hours without a break. But let's start with some introductions. So Harris County and Precinct 2 team, Jorge, do you want to introduce everyone?
For sure. I think I've probably met almost everyone in this call, but I am Jorge Bustamante. I'm the project manager on the Precinct 2 side. We are not able to have Cindy Miller with us today. I'm sure the community members know Cindy. She's out this week, but we do have Maria Bolaños, who's another community liaison, stepping in for her as well. Hey, Maria.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Happy to be here.
Good morning.
Other than that, on the Precinct 2 team, we also have Ray, who supports this project as well. He's not available. And then the Harris County Engineering Department, we have Brian Brown, Cassandra Green, Peter Davies. Brian Brown is the project manager on that end, and he should be joining us shortly. He's also putting out some fires, but we'll have him join us here in a minute. Thank you, Shai.
Thanks, Hooray. And so now just to quickly introduce our team, we have today with us, 8 of us will be working throughout the day with you to create this vision. So my name is Shai Roos. I'm the project manager from our StainTech team. We have with us Steve Kirk, Jeff Saucer, Phil Chafing, and then we have Ami Parikh, Parker McDowell, Mona Hashemi, and we could not have Tamaris present today, but we have Alex Donner present with us. And also on the call from the StainTech team is Mark Maldonado and John Keane. They are working on parks, open space, general planning, and infrastructure side of this project. So I heard someone either emailed me or mentioned today that I hope we deal with stormwater, floodwater. So that's John's area. He will be helping us deal with that. So going from there, just quick little things. We want to be here. I know it's a long day, but it would be great if y'all would just be with us the time you're here. And then silence is agreement. If you don't speak up, we'll think you agree. So you can't come back and say you don't like something. Please speak up. And as far as consensus is, everyone has to agree. Everyone just has to say, can you live with it? If you can live with it, let's move to a consensus side. And then, of course, don't yuck someone else's yum. We say that to say, you know, every idea is a great idea. Every thought is a great thought. In planning, we want to hear it. And so we use and. So if someone says an idea that you don't agree with, you build on it and say and instead of but. So if we can do that, let's go ahead and have fun.
Yes, because I hate the but word.
So let's try it. You know, I've tried it many times and I'm not always 100% successful, but let's make sure we all try that. So just real quick, a community snapshot. We look at people and place when we look at what the community is today. Who lives, works, and plays here? What are the physical assets and challenges? So just so everyone, I know most of you all have seen this, but this is the study area bordered. As you all know, it's small part in precinct 1, most of it is in precinct 2, and just along Beltway 8 and some of the roadways are city of Houston. Going forward, this is, we just look at the psychographics is what it's called, and your retailers and developers usually look at this. It's a market study based, it tells you the characteristics of the people that live in this area, where they shop, what kind of homes, all of that, which is what people are looking at when they're deciding to invest. So looking at this, as you can see, 7D is a population that covers most of the land area. But then we have 7A, 7C, and in previous presentations that you'll find on the website, there are details. Also, the existing conditions report has even more details, which we'll post online soon. But just to look at the highlights, majority people in this area are family-oriented, yet diverse married couples with children. Hispanic, 70% of the residents across all these different segments, 70% are Hispanic, and many are foreign born, so they're bringing rich culture to your area. And they're not, when we say Hispanic, we mean all Latin countries included. And so majority value their traditions, they live in multi-generational households, and they balance their budget carefully. One thing, 60% in Channelview, our unemployed rate is higher than US. So of the 60% people, the unemployment rate is higher. There's a lot of people with high school, less than high school diploma. Most people shop at Walmart, Dollar General, and also Hispanic programming on television and radio. Now you see here on the side, the 7A, 7C, 10A, and 4B segments. These are the segments that favor family restaurants. So interesting point of view, these are also pretty close to some kind of major roadways or freeways. And so that's the opportunity to bring in those kind of businesses in the area. And so one interesting factor, all except that 10A segment along Highway 10 are very technologically savvy. They use and adopt new technology. So again, one of the things we start looking at is the technology, the internet connection, the Wi-Fi in this particular area is really very important to have. So going forward, just a little interesting fact to show you the people, the growth in the area between 2000 and 2017 has been 28% total. The only thing is almost last 7 years, 10 years, because we only got numbers till 2017, was just 8%. So the speed that your area is growing at has gone down. Also, we look at the racial makeup. So we look at Hispanic as an ethnicity. So it does not come in race. So if you look at race, it's majority white. If you look at ethnicity, it's majority Hispanic. And these are all the countries and the percent. So of course, Hispanic by origin, Mexican is 87%. So it's just interesting facts that tell us what the demographics in the area are. You can see majority are employed in education services, healthcare, social assistance, and then the next highest is manufacturing. The graduate or professional degree is just 2.3, and the maximum do have high school graduate or equivalency at 32%. It's the housing information, the housing size in 2017 and both 2010 too was higher than City of Houston and Harris County, just slightly higher, but that makes sense knowing that this is a very family-oriented area. Also, number of households, of course, increased between 2010 and 2017. We've got the housing, median housing value. In 2017, median housing was 106. So it is an affordable area and it is close to downtown. So that's how we include those metrics, is looking at, okay, the distance from downtown and the movement is much easier to the east from downtown than to other parts of the greater Houston area. So that creates an opportunity and an asset. And then of course, value growth was 14% between 2010 and 2017. And as you can see, the renters, the owners were less in 2017 than 2010, and the renters were more in 2017 than 2010. So looking at what happened between 2010 and 2017 and seeing if we can address those to reverse the numbers would be something you'd look at. If that is what we wanted, of course. And so this is just how the land is being used in the area today. So majority land is in single family. Of course, there's more than single family. You see there's right of way, water, all of that is also taking up a lot of the area. But multifamily and industrial are pretty much on the same level. And as you can see, most of the commercial, retail, multifamily does exist along major roadways in the area. So more about parks, you can see a lot of park area is in your eastern part, whereas the northwest part, just west of Sheldon Road and north of Wood Forest, you really don't see much, but you have that Carpenter's Bayou and the existing bike path. There are opportunities here to make those connections. And so here's your major roadways. And if you look at ADTs on the side, that just means traffic volume. And you can see south of Wood Forest on Sheldon is almost 25,000 vehicles passing there. So most of your connections, major connections, are highly traveled. But then you look at the street system or a roadway system on the east side, and there's not much roadways there. So during this planning process, we will be looking at, based on what you tell us your vision is that somewhere where you need more infrastructure? This is bicycle and pedestrian crashes. Majority of them, as you can see, are Sheldon and I-10, but along Wood Forest, there's a lot of the crashes too. And as I mentioned, the only trail is along the Carpenter Bayou up here. So that means these crashes are happening when people are biking or walking on the streets. And so that's one condition we probably need to take real good look at. And that's
Yeah,
a
because those, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the bicycle traffic on Sheldon Road, there is quite a bit of it, and there is nowhere for them to ride. So they ride in the lanes of traffic, which causes traffic jams, people trying to get by them because it's only 2 lanes. So,
yes, yes. So we'll definitely be taking a look at those. And then public transit is also something that in all our conversations with people and during the previous meetings, we've heard bicycle, pedestrian, public transportation was of interest. And as you can see, the purple is actually HCT. And then rest of it is metro, and the connections are there, but not much. And again, a very less connection on the northeast side and the southwest side, even though there is a transit station here from what I had seen. So one of the things we want to look at is how can we work with HCT, of course, to see what can be done to improve this, as a lot of people in the area are taking public transit, and Metro is now really looking at Metro next. So can we make those connections to the bigger greater Houston area transit system from Channelview? These are the assets, and from everything we talked to everybody, without fail mention, schools is the biggest asset. So is your churches in the area. And so schools and churches, and then you see there's a community center down here. However, we probably want to maybe look at this area and see, do we fix the area so it becomes more community oriented, or do we move the community center to an area where there is a lot of homes and people living? So those are the kind of things that we will be asking you, and asking you to keep in mind when you tell us what you want and what your vision for the future is. And with that, are there any questions? That's our agenda for today. We have finished the existing conditions right on time. So I do have 15 minutes for us to do any questions, discussions related to our existing conditions. Do you all agree with what we think we found, or is there something you'd like us to know that, or something we've missed?
Okay. I do have a few comments, not so much questions. For one thing, it would have been nice to had a copy of the agenda sent to us, just so we could follow along and know what the time spans were on each thing. But I wanted to build a little on Cindy Underwood's comments about the pedestrian and bike trail. That was the point I was trying to make in the visioning meeting, was that the ideas that was presented, which I know they were just ideas and to get you thinking, but that was the problem that the Channelview participants were having, was making the connection, because we're very aware of the dangers and the problems with people walking along the street or riding along the street. And that's something that really needs to be addressed in all areas. It is the availability of that, because even with those suggestions that you made, which they're great concepts, it's just with us aware of the situations within Channelview, and I'll say it again, everybody participating in this plan who aren't from Channelview need to come to Channelview and take a tour.
Yeah.
so you can understand. But like I said, that's the issues on that. I just wanted to underline what Cindy was trying to say, is that some of the concepts we can't even wrap our heads around it because we know how dangerous it is, and we can't first kind of see if you're showing us things that's being done in the roadway. You know, it's automatically just alarms go up for us, and so that's one of the issues on that.
Right. And as a matter of fact, Sunday, I saw an accident where a lady on Ridlawn hit a boy that was riding his skateboard down the street, and he was down in the ditch, and the police were just arriving whenever I came up on it, but she hit him with her car because there's no place for them. There's no sidewalks whatsoever. For Channelview, there's really not. And so that's a huge issue that we have, just getting the roads free from traffic that's pedestrian or otherwise.
And so just Carolyn and Cindy, if I may, we will make sure to show you actual 3D images of the solution so that you can see, like you said, you can't wrap your head around because you're seeing the issues. So we've all been driving through the area, of course, to get to, you can't actually create solutions unless you've been to the area and you've been there different times. So one of the things we do is we're gonna do the strategic foresight. We're gonna get more information from y'all, combine it with everything you've told us in the past, combine it with data that we found, and we'll come up with some solutions. And those solutions we will present to you at community comment events and also online so that you can look at it, imagine it, and tell us whether that works or not, or what you would like it changed. And that's how we will work on the solutions together. It's not you tell us a problem and we go and independently create an idea and just say, now take it, live with it. That's not what we do. We will bring it back for your comment. We'll take your comments and make those changes that the community wants. This truly is going to be your plan. So you will have many more chances to look at the solutions and look at the issues. So today is the first step to actually you all creating your own solutions, and that's where we go into the future trends, because whatever solutions we create have to take into consideration what is going to be happening that will be impacting communities and specifically Channelview. So that's why we have a set of 30 questions, or rather 30 trends that we'll show you. These are trends that we've gotten from Alliance for Innovation. They've done this big study about future trends that are going to impact communities in the United States. And so we're gonna take those 30 trends and talk to you about, do you think this trend will impact Channelview? And if I may, I'd like to ask both Maria and Jorge to please take it too, because y'all work here, you also live here. It would be really helpful. And I see Brian has joined us. So I would like to ask Brian to take this poll also. I will not ask our staff to do it because we're the ones that are gonna be coming up with solutions. So this is your study. So everyone here, please take that poll.
Yeah, try, if I could jump in for a second, just to add another comment to the conversation about safety. That is very much on the directive coming all the way up from Commissioner, right? Like he's very aware of the issues in terms of traffic safety, and we have already kicked off, more than 30 miles of sidewalk projects, trails projects, And this is, you know, we definitely want to look at Channelview as a whole community and identify, you know, go through this process and identify the best opportunities for improving safety. And so, yeah, I think that's received very well, and that's going to be very high priority in our assessment of the recommendations.
Thank you, Hooray. So the way we would do this is I will pull up the trend cards with the description, and then we will have a poll going on. One thing to say, when Parker launches the poll, it will come up right on top of the pictures on your screen. So please use the top line to move it to the side, or you can minimize it. Do not hit the X and close it, because then you won't be able to go back to it. But if you minimize it, you can see the trend card, think on it, and then either at the top or the bottom of your screen should be the bar which says where your video and mute button is. It also says polls. And so click on the poll, and that box will come back on your screen, and you can answer the questions. And the question will be, do you think this trend will impact Channelview? If you say yes, then we want you to think, is it gonna be in the next 10 years or later than the next 10 years? Or if you think it's just not going to impact your community. So those are your three choices. If you will answer those for us, we will later, go ahead, someone say. Hello? Oh, okay. So,
Shai, I'm
yes.
not seeing on my screen where it says polls or anything. I have you're
I have
viewing Shai's screen and view options.
Oh,
I'm not seeing what you're saying I should be seeing. There's an annotate. If I do view options, I can annotate, but nothing about polls. I have a speaker view and a full screen view. So
Yeah, we haven't launched the poll yet. And I think the
Oh.
polling option's only for the host and co-host, Shai. I don't think it shows up on their bar.
oh,
The
okay.
window
So
will
then
pop up for them though, once I launch it.
once the poll pops up for you, then please just move it to the side so you can see on your screen, so you can see the image on one side and the poll on the other. And that way I can keep changing the image and you can keep answering the polls. So, and if there is an issue, please, we're just very few people, so we can go right back to it. So Parker, do you wanna start? Can everyone see? What do you all see on your screen?
Yes, I see strategic resources, climate change, see the poll.
Okay, so if you will move it to one side, let's talk about the very first trend, which is climate change, which in your area, you all know that these days with the number of storms and the frequency of them this year in itself has been quite high. And so that is something that of course affects most built environments. So if this is something you think is going to be an issue, is it going to be an issue near term? Is it going to be an issue long term? Or you don't think it's going to be an issue? So if you'll answer that question, we can go to the next. And if you all want to discuss this, if someone has a question, we've got time so we can do this. We have until 11:15 to work on this.
Yeah, so Shai, John King here. There's one point I'd like to make on
John, we can't hear you clearly.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. My speakers are not synced for some reason. So anyways, just on climate change, so it's not really a debate whether it's global warming or what's causing it, but certainly something's changing, whether it's man-made or due to cycles within the Earth. So I mean, it's just think about the weather, the possibility of weather, the additional flooding, the frequencies of flooding, the increases of intense rain. Just want to make sure that that's a little bit different. So I know some people can get kind of upset with that term.
Yes, so he's correct. What impacts are these changes in weather systems? How it happens is not important, but what happens with them is important. And, so I don't.
Yeah.
So answer the poll now. Okay.
Okay. But on climate change, I agree with the comments that was just made, but I also say it probably would have been better to have put environmental changes, because some of these issues aren't due to just climate issues. They're due to changes in the area, such as infrastructure being built, causing more flooding, or things within our rivers and stuff that are causing more flooding. So, it's more that. But anyway, I agree that events like hurricanes and the damages that can affect us are a long-term issue in this area. But
Yes, that's a very good point. And Shai, maybe a suggestion would be to kind of break it up into two parts, which is, the concerns of developments or how things are being developed, and what that trend is, and how that could potentially impact concerns of hopefully we get to a trend of reducing flooding by doing things the proper way. But if we're not on that trend right now, let's talk about how to get there.
Yes.
And in relation to food insecurity, yes, we have droughts and we have things getting hotter, not necessarily, as it relates to climate change. Yes, we're going through some kind of something, which, the earth does that. And it can be human related, it can be just earth related. But we do have a food insecurity around here, and I'm not regardless of whether it's hot or drought, a drought. It's just the inability of having a wide variety, or people having the area to grow their food. So
that's something, I'm sorry to interrupt, but yes, let me go through these, because that is what the idea is, decreasing food production. Is there a food issue? So then y'all tell us what exactly the food issue is, because these explanations are for the entire country. But we chose the cards that we thought would, based on what you all have told us about the area. So climate change, we're looking at flooding, stormwater issues. With food insecurity, what you mentioned, there's no place to grow around there. There's community gardens. What else would you be looking for? Grocery stores?
Yeah, do folks have access to, what a question I would ask, Shai, is can folks can folks easily access grocery stores and have whether they have biking options to get there or walking options to get there, or is that something they can easily get to? I know there are concerns in other areas of folks can only
John,
shop at a gas station.
Yeah, so on the food, only accessibility, not how you get there. That comes in connectivity and infrastructure.
Accessibility.
So, yeah, is it available at least in your area? So answer based on that.
One more question. On these selections here, yes, near term, yes, long term, and no. Are you talking about a near-term solution or a long-term solution? What
impact
is the breakdown of the meaning of our selection?
It's impact. is this going to have a big impact on your community between now and 2030? That's near term. Is it going to impact after 2030? That's long term. And no impact, of course, is no. So I'm getting.
Okay, that kind of makes it kind of sort of hard because like on food insecurity, if things change, then it's a near term. If the conditions stay as they are now, it's long term. So I'm just trying to narrow down my answer and figuring out, and that's very much dependent upon what happens through this initiative. If we get the stores, if we get the ability to have it, then it's a near-term problem. We could have this fixed by 2030. But if nothing happens, then we're down into a long-term problem. As it is now, I know you made the comment that people shop at Walmart. We have 3 stores that we can buy food at: Walmart, Kroger, Foods Town.
Right.
So many of us, it's not that we drive to Summerwood, we drive to Baytown, we drive to Pasadena to go to the other stores. It's not, you know, we leave the area because we don't have it available. But that could be fixed. That could be fixed in you know, we could have a nice store that everybody wants to shop at. And that would lead that would end that problem really quick and easy. So I'm just trying to narrow down the term.
Let me maybe make it easier. So tell us what the issue is if you want it addressed in the next 10 years. If you
We need more stores.
Yes, so if you want it addressed in the next few years or next 10 years, then say yes, near term. If you think it can wait till after 2030, then answer long term. If you think it just doesn't need to be addressed, then hit no.
Okay, with your reply there, I would say, like even on the climate change, we want that addressed near term, but
Yeah.
it's a long-term problem regardless. But food insecurity, I would say that would be something we want addressed near term. All of it we want near term, but
Yes, and so whichever ones you want near term, go ahead and answer it that way. That is, yes.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to provide a little bit of clarity for Carolyn. I think also another way to think of it is, you know, to stay at that 30,000 foot in the air perspective. How are the conditions today, and try to make it like a yes or no response. So, like today, do we need this addressed? Yes or no? And then, do we need it addressed in the next 10 years, or do we need it addressed in the next 30 years? You know, and just try to have that perspective, because that'll give us enough insight to start prioritizing some of these things, to really say, okay, these are issues that we really need to pay attention, and then start looking for those multiple solutions that can ripple down the concerns. So I would kind of take that approach. If I could recommend that, would be to say, today, is this an issue? And then the follow-up question would be, is that an issue for the next 10 years or in the next 30 years?
okay, then that made me change my climate change issue from long term to near term, because it is something that needs addressed immediately.
Me too.
That was helpful.
Okay, so if y'all will answer those, because I don't see anyone having chosen anything, then we can move on to the next 2. We have 15 of these to go through.
Okay, we're not supposed to hit submit on this until we're complete.
Oh, okay, so I won't see it. So if I go fast, let me know.
Okay.
So here, for water shortages and access, what you want to look at is your ability to get water to new developments even today. How is it being managed? Is this an issue? Or can everybody get access, or all land in the area get access to the amount of water that will be needed? So that's water shortages. And then again, offshore drilling. Is this a problem? Is something you want addressed in the near future, or can it wait? Or is it just not a problem?
Okay, offshore drilling, I know it's titled offshore drilling, but the issues, the broken pipelines, dirty refineries, and pollution impacts on our water and safety are very prevalent within Channelview, not specifically because of offshore drilling, just because of the industry. So
Yeah. So
skipping the first line of that, everything else is near term, in my opinion. But so it's kind of misleading.
Notes, so I can make it, and usually, you know, when we do this in person, we're sitting around a table, so we can scratch that offshore drilling and put it, just highlight, you know, the pollution impacts of water safety is an issue. So we would do that. So you all can't see it, but I'm doing it on my side computer. So we've changed offshore drilling to impacts of industry, and I've highlighted the pollution issues, water and air safety issues. So everyone answer based on that. So digital citizens, is this going to have to be addressed? Everyone in your area does use a lot of technology from our data collected. And so how is your Wi-Fi? How is your internet connectivity? How's your accessibility to technology? That's what we want to say. Is it going to impact it? And you know, in the next thing, you can say whether it's going to impact it in a good way or a bad way. It doesn't just have to be bad. If it's going to impact it in a good way, then you still say yes on this exercise, and in the next exercise we elaborate that, oh, this is a good thing, this is what it's going to lead to. So that's all we're asking is it going to have an impact?
Okay, on small businesses, yes, we need those along with the large beneficial businesses, but in my opinion, we have a prevalence of throwdown businesses, which I mean.
You're reading my mind.
And I do mean throw down. They're throwing down the business on the land, on just any vacant piece of land that they can see. And they're
Up and down every road
huge.
that you can see.
Yes, and everywhere. And the problem with is that A, it's very unappealing to people wanting to come into our area. B, small businesses that want to set up a beneficial, you know, real business wants to set up, they're not going to rent space if they're having to compete with someone who's just throwing it down on a piece of grass and you know, they're here today, they have no overhead or anything. So why should a small business come in and want to compete against that? So we can't get the nicer businesses if we have this type of activity go on. Plus,
And there's no nice buildings for them to want to come in and set up.
correct.
And so that means it's going to impact your area. It is already impacting it. And if you want it addressed, then you put it in near term.
Yes. Okay. I just wanted to clarify the type of small businesses is not, you know.
Yeah. So once you've chosen what is going to impact in the near term, just so you know, in the next exercise, we will be using those near-term trend charts to create the scenario. And that's where you get the chance to talk about what the issue is, how it's impacting, and what we will do what would we do to address it. So that's on the next one. And so let's choose what our near-term issues are that this planning effort needs to address, and then go forward. So education reform. the virtual education due to COVID-19 and how would it change the way schools are operating in the future? Would it how would that impact the school district? And as school districts, one of your assets, do you want it looked at through this study? And then unmanning, someone had asked what that was. So unmanning, basically we asked that because is in your area, are people depending on jobs? Are they doing jobs that look like they're gonna get automated with drone deliveries or, autonomous vehicles? So if there's no drivers needed, are a lot of people working in the driving industry or the transportation industry, manufacturing? Are those jobs, that is what we ask, is unmanning going to impact it? Or even if it was the alternate, which is you have a lot of engineers who are creating these technologies, that's also an impact, because then their job security is there. So either way, are there people in the area? Is this going to create a job, some kind of either a good thing or a bad thing in the area? And then decentralized manufacturing and 3D printing, that's again the same thing, but it affects employment and it affects a community sales tax. So if you do have a lot of manufacturing, people making things that now can be done automatically in the area, then your sales tax will get affected. And if there are people in the area that work in those manufacturing jobs, it will impact employment. So either good way or bad way. So if you will answer that. And then of course, online shopping. Again, it does take taxes away from the people, but it also is convenient. And a lot of people can do those small businesses from their home and be now doing well in their personal finances. So personal economy of the people can get better. So online shopping could impact anyways. So you have to keep that in mind. And you always stop me if I go for fast, right?
Another question on the decentralization and the online shopping. I just want clarified, are we saying this is going to affect us, or do we think it's going to be a good or bad? I just need to clarify what are we putting on here? I mean, it's going to affect us. Are we trying to say that we think it's going to be good, or do we think it's going to be bad? Or is the no meaning?
Yeah, so Carolyn, we will be saying whether it's going to be good or bad after 11:45. So up until 11:45, we're just saying whether it's going to affect us or not.
Okay.
And now or later. So is it going to affect after 2030 or is it going to affect until 2030?
So it affect either way, good or bad.
Yeah, yes. We will have that discussion in the breakout room of what we think is going to be good, what we think is going to be bad, and how we want to solve it or take advantage of it. And then carless community. You want less cars. Do we think that there is even a possibility that there will be less cars in the area? And then when do we think that would happen in this area? So infrastructure. And it's not just roadways. I know that this is pretty bad looking picture and exaggerated one, but everything you all talked about, the sidewalks, bike lanes, pedestrian safety, water lines, wastewater, stormwater, everything goes under infrastructure overhaul. So how would it be impacting your community? In both ways, if it's happening or if it's not happening. And then new financial partnerships. And so there's things like crowdfunding, public-private partnerships, civic funds. Do you see this coming to the area? Do you see these type of financial partnerships available to the area? Do you think this will be impacting you all? Same with the renewable energy source. Is this something you think will come to Channelview in the next 10 years, or will it come after 10 years, or you think this is a trend that's just never going to come to Channelview? Electric vehicles and water recycling. Can we, do you think there will be any impact of water recycling type regulations here, or electric vehicles? Is this going to be an issue, or is this going to impact, good or bad? Do you see it coming to the area? Just, there's a question, why would electric vehicles require better roads? And my amateur explanation would just be because of all the electrical panels. If the cars, they're very sensitive to the road conditions. And that's why if you wanna make them last or work it well, you need roadways that are in much better condition than what we have in across any community right now in the US. So that's one of the manufacturing issue that's coming in. And so that's just my thought. Well,
And one of the issues as far as infrastructure would also include putting in charging stations.
Yeah, nailed it. Exactly right.
Traffic, yeah, travel and things like that. You have to have, charging stations.
yeah. And so everyone good on electric vehicles and water recycling?
I just want to say I know a lot about electric buses, not so much the cars, but the buses, and they don't require better roads. All buses, all heavy vehicles need better roads, so to speak, because those big potholes tear them up because they're heavier. So, but
Okay.
buses per se aren't much different on weight or anything else. They don't have a big engine in them. They got a couple little electric motors in them and things like that. Not going to preach to the choir though. Just let you know it's, better roads are good for everything though. It doesn't tear vehicles up. And as far as charging stations, that is correct. They're very, very expensive to put in charging stations. They're not cheap.
And so that's what you have to look at is if you're gonna get if you feel like electric vehicles are gonna really catch on in this area, then in the next 10 years, then yes, it's gonna impact in the near term. Some impact, good or bad, it's gonna have. If you think it's long-term, that yes, you do believe there will be a preponderance of electric vehicles, then it's yes, but if not, then it's a no. Same with water recycling. Do we see a lot of people doing water recycling, pushing for, the changes? Is this something that would happen in your area.
As far as the roads, I was trying to type on there. The efficiency, better roads is all the way around, whether it's electric or gas, because if you have better roads, you're using less gas, hydrocarbons to travel them, and you're doing less repairs, just the same as the electric vehicles.
So just to clarify, Carolyn, the better road conversation would be on the infrastructure. This one is just to ask you all, do you think that Channelview will have a lot of electric vehicles coming there?
Yeah, and the way I look at that is because of our population and the median incomes and things, those electric cars are expensive. And I don't see many people around here actually switching to electric cars.
Oh, sorry. Yes. So should we move on?
Yes.
So tech-enabled healthcare, we put that in because right now we heard a lot about access to hospital and healthcare, and this is a new thing that is becoming popular. There's a nonprofit up in Boston that's even partnering with hospitals and the tech companies to make sure that you get, if you've got broken foot or something, techs will come to your house to do your x-ray and keep the costs not, prohibitive. It's the same. So that's what we mean by tech-enabled healthcare is you can pick up the phone, you can talk to someone, but if it's something serious, unless you need an operation and need to go to into a surgery, most other things that you'd still go to an emergency room for can be done through technology. So do you see this trend having an impact on Channelview? And the next one is structural youth unemployment. I know that it shows homeless people here, but it's not about homeless. It's about, do we think that future trends of automation and using global talent, now with computers, we can work from anywhere. Do we think that that could impact the youth employment, create a youth employment, either shortage or more? Like, it could impact negatively, or it could allow the youth in Channelview to do jobs all over the world and open up the job market. So either way, if you think that that is going to have an impact, you need to choose yes or no and when. And then this picture is wrong. It needed to go away. The civil rights spring on our board, we have a different one, but it's just political, movements, all kinds that we're hearing. So not to discuss them, but do you think that it's going to be a big impact in your area going forward, any kind of political impact? Or political movements that are going on in the country today, our country, not other countries, is that going to have an issue? And the mass migration is about population shifts. And so is that something you expect to happen more, or it happen or not happen, either way? And then middle class map. So there's been a lot of conversation in the country right now that in the 1950s, you could make 60,000 a year, have a car, have a nice house in the suburbs, good schools, have 2 kids, have a comfortable life. now home ownership is becoming more and more difficult for a family of 4 on a 60 grand a year salary, because we somehow housing prices have gone up. And so would that be an issue in the area, that middle class housing, education, all those price increases? Do you see it impacting in this area, good or bad? And then same with elder expense. How many, usually you look at people over 65. If you have a lot of people over 65, then you look at it as, yeah, either way it's going to impact you. But do you think that's something Channelview should be addressing or needs to address? And then the nomadic workforce. So that's basically due to technology, workforces, either outsiders can take the jobs away from people in Channelview, or Channelview people can take jobs away from outsiders. Do you think this is something that would impact either way? And the next one, urban versus rural, we also want to know mindset. Your area is actually, in planning terms, we would call it suburban, but we want to know what you think. Do you think it's rural, or do you think it's urban? And if you think one or the other, there's a big conversation going on how these areas should be developing. There's a split. Which one is good? Which one is not? What kind of housing and school facilities would be needed? And so is that a conversation that's going to impact your community? Are people in consensus, or is there conversations that will impact going forward? And so this one, declining federal government effectiveness. So more and more funding and aid that communities used to get is going to be lower and lower. We've watched it go lower. It's going to even be lower now going forward. Is that going to be a problem for Channelview, or a good thing for Channelview? Either way, if you feel that that's going to have any impact on you, then that's the deal. And then same with hyper-localization. People are, doing their own thing, being self-sufficient. Communities are really trying to grow their own food. They're trying to have these small industry or cottage industries in their community to hire their own people that live there. So the whole live, work, play, are we trying to be all local? Is that something that you see could impact this area? And it could be something you feel you want to go there, you feel you just don't see it happening. Either way. We have 2 more slides. So citizen engagement. One of the things we always talk about in citizen engagement is not just what we're doing when you have a project. Citizen engagement would be anything to do with your community. Is it changing? Is it going to change? Do you see it changing? And if it doesn't change, is it going to have other impacts on your community? So either way, having an engaged citizenry or not having one, do you see that either way having an impact on your community? And then the trust in government. Do you feel like your community has it? And is this an issue that you want addressed? And then fiscal uncertainty, especially with COVID, how do you think that's gonna go? And corporate and special interest influence. Is this something you need to either be happy or worry about? Okay, I see people doing polls. Parker?
Yeah, I see the results coming in.
Okay, yeah. So once it's done, you go ahead and
This poll going to be up on the website for others to take, or is this specific to this work group?
we could create a survey if you'd like it, but this is actually for this group to use.
Well, I was just wondering because if it was on the website, it would sure need a lot of explanation to go
Yes,
along
yeah.
with it. So
Yeah,
I just was wondering if it was going to be up there and somebody was going to try and participate without the provided explanation. So
No. So this is just for your next scenario planning exercise. So we're just trying to get you thinking of everything so that we can go ahead and do the next exercise here. We still have 4 people we're waiting for, Parker?
I think some of them are from our team, and I think we're just missing one other person, or maybe it is just 6.
No, there should be. Is anyone from our team on taking it?
I thought we were not supposed to be taking this because.
Yeah. No, that's why we're seeing 10 people taking the poll, viewing the questions, but only 6 answering. So if everyone feels like they've answered, Brian, Jorge, Maria, have you all taken the poll?
Yeah, this is Brian. I submitted mine.
I have as well.
Okay.
Yes, I submitted mine as well.
Okay.
Okay, so then we have, okay, we may just have 6 then instead of,
No, I have technical difficulties, so I'll send mine in an email.
Okay, perfect. Parker, do you want to put your email in the chat box so he can just send it, because we can then calculate during the break with the top trends. So Parker, you want to pull and save it?
Yep.
And while Parker's doing that, we do have a 30-minute break here. So either I can tell you right now what we will be doing when we come back. That way you can anticipate it a little bit. That's like my favorite exercise, actually. So we've now done this one. We'll calculate what it is. We come back. We were supposed to go back, so I'll just give 5 more minutes. We can come back at 11:50. But once we come back, we will break into breakout rooms. We're few, so we'll just divide our team and your team equally into 2 rooms. And then we can talk about how you'll develop a story. But the idea is both rooms will develop their own story and then come back and tell their story to the group. And then we'll work on what was common in both stories. And so this is what it would look like when you come back. So we'll have facilitators in each room. I introduced them earlier, and we will help answer questions, create the ideas, take your ideas and make them look the way you want it to. Or rather, we'll just connect them, create a scenario, and then we'll come back and talk about it. So this is what we'll be doing after we have our break. So everyone feel free to just put this on hold or leave and come back. Either way is fine.
Hey, Shai, I
Yep.
apologize. I'm trying to wrap up another phone call, but I will jump on in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, great.
But please go ahead and get started.
I'm back.
I'm here.
Perfect. We'll wait just 2 more minutes and then I will go back to maybe talking a little bit more on how to do the scenario. Paul, are you back? I did send out an email again to everybody at break time. And oh, Carolyn, I forgot to mention, the original invite has the agenda attached in case you want to keep referring back to it. It should have the agenda attached to it.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. I'll check it and get it.
Yeah, it's just an attachment. So just for everyone, I guess I can say hello back. And now that we're back, we'll do the introduction to the breakout rooms, facilitators, and how to develop this scenario. And so we'll go into them. It won't take us that long, but it will give us all the way until 1 o'clock to work on it. So that's a little bit more time, which I feel like it might be good to use it. If not, we can let us know on the chat and we'll bring everyone back earlier when they're done. So this is what we'll be doing. So Parker will assign everyone to the breakout rooms. And what we'll do is we'll have 4 StainTech facilitators in each room to facilitate. We'll also have the other staff that wants to join in, but our StainTech staff will not be the one giving input. It's going to be you. We're just going to draw and look for things and things like that. So how do we develop a story? The idea is that every group, both groups, each group chooses a person or a family whose story we're creating as a group. We start by imagining their daily life in Channelview today. So going to next page, so we look at a young Hispanic family, for example, 2020 today. We're choosing married couple, 32 years of age, elementary school children, 7-year-old boy, 5-year-old girl. You create it. You can make it anything you want. They live with their grandmother, who's a first-generation immigrant from Mexico. The husband grew up in the area, went to Channelview ISD, has a high school diploma, works in manufacturing. And then you add more, like, the son plays soccer. They have to drive the daughter somewhere else for ballet. I know I'm kind of doing these preconceived notions. The girl could play soccer and the boy could be going to ballet, but it's your choice. Whatever the story you want to make up. The mom could be working, be an entrepreneur, doing online business from home. They have whatever you feel, they have nowhere to go for entertainment in the area, so they have to drive far off. Things like that, you put that, whatever you think today's scenario for that family will be. Or you could choose a single person, or you could choose a family that's just moved into the area, or someone who was born, raised, has lived their entire life, and now they are retired, living in the area. What does their life look like? Once you've done that, you go to 2030 and you imagine what would you like their life to look like in 2030. So for example, husband works in healthcare, aging parent has access to transit and senior center and parks, and keep adding to it. You know, the kids are in some great professional program at high school. Channelview High School has started some career advancement center, and they're in there. Wife's business has taken off. Grandmother is, you know, has access, the family has access to healthcare. You name it, you create it. And then in between, you look at all your issues and trends that you thought, the top 10, Parker, were we able to get them?
If you could, I wasn't able to check them because I couldn't find like how to export the results as an Excel sheet. But if you, I'm showing the results right now.
Yeah, just put the results, the top, you know, top 10 that are going to impact in the next 10 near term.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So,
go ahead.
yeah. So it said just a quick glance. It seems that climate change, offshore drilling, digital citizens, education reform, online shopping,
Well,
infrastructure.
will you put it in the chat? That way
Yeah.
all facilitators can also see it.
Yeah. Can you guys see the poll results?
Yeah.
I can't.
Hmm.
I can't either.
Let me try again.
I
You
can.
just click, yeah, if you can click below, it'll pop up.
Okay, that's fine then. But put it in the Zoom chat for everyone else who doesn't have access to poll result to see it. And so we'll use those top 10, and you can decide which year you think what should be dealt with first, what should be dealt with next, what, that kind of a thing, you know. And then basically, okay, infrastructure, what can we do? We can look for CIP, we can look for other funding, we can look for how do we want it to look? What happens once we get funding? Or, you know, we partner with ISD and workforce development, and that's how we get tech health. Or we would partner with hospitals and nonprofits to get tech health, workforce development also. And then that's how the husband gets to healthcare. So once we've decided what the life in 2030 is, we can look at what are top trends, when they will be impacting this area, and then work backward and create your story on what would have to happen. What should we be looking at doing? How to do it, we'll create the plan for it, or we'll come up with some solutions on how you can do it. We just want to know what you want done and some ideas of how would you, if you have the idea, it's your plan. So please tell us, well, what do you see as something we should be looking at? So that's how it'll work. And we'll have our planners in the room with you to create this. Have I, people, have I forgotten any directions here? And it's basically imagine their life and then imagine how they will get from 2020 to 2030, the issues they will face, the solutions that will be needed, and so on. So this is where you have that conversation with your trend cards. Is it gonna be good? Is it gonna be bad? Is it, what exactly is the issue? And then our facilitators will write it on the board. So, you know, if you're talking about, we had food insecurity. So what was the comment you have? We'll just write it down here to clarify it. And then what's the solution? And in between, what would they have to do? That makes sense? Any questions?
well, yes, not related to the storyline, but can we put this full poll up on the documents, on the Channelview plan thing, just for reference back to what our percentages were on all these different items that were polled?
Yes, yes, definitely. As a result, we will be preparing a community engagement report so that when you look at the comments, the solutions that we're coming up, you can go back and see what people had asked for and how it relates. So after this meeting, before the community comments happen, end of October, in between, we will be creating a report which will take everything from kickoff meeting to all the task force meetings to community engagement meetings and this one. So we'll have this as a part of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. And if you're right now interested, I can you see it on my screen here?
I can see, I have the poll.
Oh, okay. You just want others to see it. Okay, okay, I get it.
I can see it, but on my little screen, it doesn't show the whole length of the poll. So, and I know in the chat, you said y'all were gonna put the top 10. So I was just wanting the whole thing in one place where it could be reviewed back and see what the percentages were on each answer, just, for reference point.
Yeah, Parker, is there a way for us to save the whole poll so we can just actually just put it on the document library, future trend poll results?
Yeah, and also I saved it as an image file, so I can go into the boards and paste them on the side for right now if you want me to do that as well.
Perfect. Well, I don't know that we need it right now. We can see it, but just for the future. So any other question? If not, shall we go back? Once we're in our groups, we create our story and we will be brought back in an hour at 1 o'clock. So Parker will send out a message 10 minutes and 5 minutes before that the poll is closing. Okay. And then, or maybe 5 minutes and 1 minute, you can do the countdown at 1 minute. So just announce that we have 5 more minutes and then count it down at 1 minute. And that you all get to come back and tell the story. You can either ask your facilitator to tell the story, or you come back and you choose someone in your group to tell the story to everybody. And that's what's our next. Parker?
Yep, so you ready?
Like doing your board and everything. Yes, please.
Okay.
No, mute. How was y'all's session?
Oh, it was good.
Yeah, it was good.
So I was wondering, which group wants to go first?
Well,
I'd
be happy to go first. I would like to, one thing we didn't quite discuss in ours is, and Cindy, I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but
oh my goodness,
would you be willing to tell our story? You did such a great job.
Okay.
And I'll share my screen right now.
There we go. So what we have is a family, the grandparents, the parents and 2 children. The grandparents have migrated here from another country, Mexico, and the parents and grandchildren were born here. They all live in the same house, and some of the challenges that they have are having to work around the husband working, the kids being in school and having activities after school, and the grandparents who have health issues that need to go to the doctors and what have you, and them only having one means of transportation, just one family car. So, you know, how do they get to where they need to go with all this, you know, and you've got the children that are may have the same activities on the same night. And so, you know, how do they do all this with what they have? Can you make that a little bit bigger,
You got it.
Stephen?
Okay.
There we go.
Can you read it from here?
Yes.
Okay, let's slide over.
So some of the issues that they are dealing with is, you know, how do we get the grandparents the assistance that they need to get to this healthcare if mom can't take one because maybe one of the grandparents has Alzheimer's or something and can't go. So they have no resources available for assistance for that grandparent that is not as mobile because of the issues that they have. So how do we deal with that? We talked about, you know, what makes this a place that kids would want to stay in after they graduate from school? What makes this area, I'm sorry, I had to pick the dog up. He wants his attention. So what makes this area appealing to those families to even stay here, much less the kids wanting to stay here as well? You know, what makes them, what makes it appealing for them to actually want to be here? And at this point, there's no amenities for them. There's nothing that makes it attractive for them to stay. If they want to go on a date night, the parents have to go somewhere else to go and do that because there is nothing here. There's no good restaurants. I mean, there's good restaurants, but not some of the nicer name, you know, no Ruth's Chris Steakhouse or something like that. So, you know, the parents then have to leave. So if they're having to leave this community to go somewhere else to have fun, then, you know, are they going to want to stay here versus moving somewhere else where they can have more amenities like a little coffee shop or whatever? And then we talked about the safety for some of the activities that may be available for the kids. If they had a softball tournament or whatever, can they ride their bicycle there? At this point, the answer is no, because there's no sidewalks, there's no bike paths to get them necessarily from their little neighborhood from point A to point B safely. And so that's one of the things that we're really concerned about is the safety in the area for people getting to activities. Some of the other things that we talked about is this family having, I'm trying to think of the word, having the jobs that they need to have to make them want to come to this community, you know, or as we've talked about in the case of the kids, why would they want to stay here if there's no good jobs? Right now, there's not a lot in that way. You've got fast food jobs, you may have grocery store jobs or a pharmacy job. There are a few larger companies, but as a whole, there's just not a lot of employment opportunities for the younger people. We talked about the schools and them adding the stability for the kids that don't necessarily get structure in their lives at this point because mom is so busy dealing with grandparents or And dad's working so much to try to provide for the family. So the kids don't always get the structure that they need, but if they could, by having some other activities, it would be great. It would certainly improve the safety that we need, and the opportunities for those kids to get into trouble. We want to eliminate that. And right now, there's nothing for them to do. I talked about in the summertime, you know, we used to go to the public pool, and that's what we did. And in the wintertime, we bowled or did some other activity. There's nothing for kids to do here. There's just nothing other than to get into trouble. So, you know, if we did have something available, and again, I go back to that safety with the roadways, them having a safe way of getting to where they need to go. We talked about health care. You know, this family is limited maybe on being able to get to the doctor. So can we have somebody come to the houses for them and help those parents or grandparents to get the care that they need? And then, you know, have that virtually transmitted to their doctor so that they get what they need. We also talked about housing, which is a big thing. You know, how does this parent expected to purchase a house when their jobs may not allow for them to save the money that they need? Right now, they're living in rental houses where it's costing them as much to rent that house as they could pay out on the house that they bought. But they can't do that because they can't save up the money for the down payment. You know, not everybody has $30,000 to $40,000 to put down on a home. So how do we bridge that to make it possible for them to do it? We talked about the internet services. You know, how do we make sure that everybody has the opportunity to have access to internet services so that they can do maybe online school and online training, those kind of things, so that they can maybe progress to a better job. We talked about the drought and the impact on water availability. We talked about the storms and the danger that may come from that. I mean, and I didn't bring this up earlier, and I just thought about it, but what happens if a big storm comes through, destroys the house that they're living in, and it's a rental house? Where do those people go? Where's this family going to go? So we talked about that. We talked about how we can help families to be able to sustain themselves if there are circumstances like droughts or whatever, so that they can feed their families. We talked about having a community garden, or the family having a garden if they have the space. We talked about chickens. Everybody in Texas can have chickens in their backyard as long as it's a hen. And we talked about, I see people that raise their own goats for food. So I think those were pretty much
I think you got it covered.
Yeah, yeah.
Write down, and I'll add your purple potatoes that Cindy.
Yes, and our purple potatoes. I grew purple potatoes this year.
Thank you. I'll stop sharing now.
So, you know, I've always been very interested when these scenarios come back together on exactly how close and similar a community scenarios can get. You all just wrote the plan for us actually right now, because we get Caroline to tell our story, and I will share my screen so everyone can see it. Okay.
Okay. You did a good job, Cindy. Let me see if I can follow that.
Well, thank you.
Okay, we did a family that of 5. We had a son who was graduating, a daughter who was a few years behind him, and a younger son who was intermediate. So with those, the son who was graduating, him and the daughter both wanting to go to college or, get further higher education. But mom and dad didn't have the funds for that. So son had went into the military, did ROTC and all of that. They all, or the two participated in ag and those types also. The daughter was looking at alternative methods of funding for her higher education. And, and our little intermediate son, he was the trouble child, getting into the bad crowd. So this is all in this year, 2020. So that was the problems and that dynamic of the family. The whole family are like 4th generation in Channelview, so they've been here a long time. As the older son graduates, goes into the military, he gets his education. When he finishes, he comes back to Texas, but he doesn't move to the Channelview area immediately because although he's got a job at one of the plants, he's wanting better amenities. So he moves to, let's say, Atascocita. Daughter, she's moved off. She also moved out of Channelview. Mom and dad's still here. Son is working his way through, free-spirited like. But he has got into tech, some of the tech classes, so he can play all day on his gaming and go for there. So he eventually gets into the tech field. By 2030, the children, the son is moving back to be near mom and dad, coming back to town and stuff to be near mom and dad because they're planning on having children and they can help take care of the children. Daughter is in the area but living away from Channelview. And eventually the younger child moves into the parents' house or stays at the parents' house while mom and dad have got frustrated and ran away to the country. So that's kind of the dynamics for the beginning of the story. And we talked about how to change that so that eventually mom and dad come back so they can be with the grandchildren. And one of the things we talked about was that, first of all, environmental changes needed to be made, enforcement of some ordinances and some cleanups to make it where mom and dad or grandparents at that time is not feeling like they're beating up their heads on the wall with no movement, and the children have seen an improvement in the area that make them want to come back here and live where they remember growing up. Some of those changes were, say for the food trucks, instead of having throw down business and food trucks everywhere, having like a food truck court where they can be in a nicer setting so that it's not so raw and nice. We talked about law enforcement, enforcement of ordinances and just appearance of law enforcement to make people feel safer, lighting and cleanup of the areas. Things put in place to keep hazardous facilities or companies from sharing property lines with the residents. So buffer zones. Investment, which we already have some of this, but more investment in the community and trade school, community college and trade school partnerships, which that I know is already going on, but to develop interest to the students to participate in that. We also talked about the need for health care because we have accident-prone children and grandchildren, and the older parents needing to be able to have health care when we are in a disaster situation where we're flooded and we can't get to the outside care areas. We talked about what would keep our children here in town now is not to be forced to drive to Baytown or Summerwood or Pasadena or all these other to do our shopping. So the availability of nicer shopping stores, grocery and retail. And we also talked about community gardens or the teaching the children and other residents how to be more resilient and grow their own food and how to provide for themselves. Let's see, I think pretty much everything that y'all touched on, oh, I just shrunk my screen, touched on. We also had issued those, talked about those issues, and I'm trying to read this little bitty screen.
Oh, sorry, which one?
It's,
sorry.
Am I missing? Can y'all jump in if I'm missing?
I think you covered it. We talked about the sidewalks, safety, environment, food trucks, healthcare, good schools, retail, and community gardens. And others in the, you all remember? I think you did a great job. I think you covered it all from what I.
Yeah.
Good job, Carolyn.
So, thank you. So yeah, y'all got to all the little stuff down the side. I don't know if all the others can read your little points, bullet points.
And you did a good job.
So, but that was.
We've got on this board and arrange it in a pretty manner, add some better pictures to your idea.
Yeah, one of the things, and I don't know if Cindy will agree, or the rest of y'all, is the environmental and I guess you'd say law, environmental health and just overall safety feeling would be one of the things that majorly needs to be addressed, and for people to want to be here, because they have to feel that they're safe within their house for standing in their yard.
Yes.
And they have to feel that the air that they breathe or is safe to breathe, and that, you know, that the water that they're fishing in is safe to eat anything out of it. And if they're not feeling that, they're going to go to an area near Lake Houston or somewhere else where they can do those things and feel safe standing in their front yard.
Yeah, because we do have a lot of issues with crime in this area. A lot of issues with crime. So
our next thing is taking down what our common themes were, which I think, do we want to list them again, or How do you want to do this?
I think they pretty much mirrored each other. Do you think so, Cindy? Or your group? I don't know who was in your group. I was surprised at how similar, even though y'all approached it from the Hispanic viewpoint. And, you know, we just did it from, I didn't feel qualified speaking for the Hispanic side, but from regular, I have
They're
you.
very similar too. I thought that were great.
Yeah, either way it goes, it's the same issues affected. It doesn't matter what ethnicality or whatever you are. The issues are the same, it appears. So,
I am actually trying to see if I have to stop sharing and then we can bring this up again so that we can create a little common themes slide.
well, while we're doing that, I would personally be really interested in the thoughts of Harris County and Stantec's, y'all's thoughts on this.
Well, I might jump in real quickly. I thought the one thing, and Cindy, you heard it said over and over again, but the idea of safety across the spectrum of, you know, sort of important needs just was something that, you know, we noticed. And I'm not sure, you know, where that falls, but I just thought that was, you know, interesting. But, you know, again, also you know, what we all talked about, you know, this need for amenities for the full spectrum of everyone, that, you know, there's no senior centers for the grandparents. You know, there's no, you know, real activities other than just pure, you know, school sports for the youth. And yeah, and you know, there's, you know, maybe not as much green space across the city that that they could access to you know, to have these activities. So yeah, but those were some of the really interesting points that came up. I thought it was great.
Well, we do have senior center, the community center. They're shut down at the moment, but we do have them. Then maybe they're not known as much as they should be.
Maybe. I know there's the one, but where are they at?
On Lorenzo Street, right off of Sheldon Road.
Oh, okay.
The Martin Flukinger, you remember there's two buildings there, and they actually have, I was surprised, a lot of activities for the seniors, but the word's not getting out that apparently, because
that's a good point, because I didn't know.
They were having exercise classes and everything there, so that anybody can join. People don't know this.
Our buses
they have
run
meals.
down there.
Sir?
I said our buses go over there. We have buses. Our Channelview bus goes over to that location. But again, it's there now because it's closed. The only thing they're doing now is giving out food sometimes. But all
right.
Harris kind of in that situation where they're not open.
I'm talking prior to that.
Absolutely.
I forget why I even went looking. I think somebody said something about there was an exercise class, and I went and checked into it, and we were going down there and exercising. But then I found they were having dances. They were having, well, of course, the food, arts and crafts, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And I don't think people around here know. And apparently, you know, saying we didn't have a community center. Yes, we actually do. It's just, not advertised well, I guess we'd say.
Yeah, I think
it is somewhat hard to get to. It's near south of I-10.
Oh, well, it's not hard. It really is not, because it's right like 3 blocks off of Sheldon Road, and it's very accessible. You just have to know it's there. We don't have a sign that says Channelview Community Center. Actually, it's not Martin Flukinger, but there's 2 buildings. Huh? VV Ramsey.
Yeah, Ramsey.
But there's not really a major sign on the thoroughfare or something that says that we have one located there, or a sign or anything that says what activities are taking place there, so that people are interested enough to go find out or ask questions. So I think it's just assumed we don't have one, because really we do. And we've had it for years. And the sad comment is that not only this group here not knowing it, apparently even our representatives and stuff don't know it. They have meetings for Channelview 5 miles away in North Shore at their community center. And that makes it very difficult for a person from Channelview to participate in any kind of community meeting that affects, you know, us as a whole. So it's not just an issue with some of us. People who really should know it apparently don't know it. So
I was going to say that's really good feedback in terms of, you know, getting the word out on all the activities that are currently happening right at the center. You know, COVID is throwing a wrench into everything, but making sure that I can follow up with our community center leaders and work out what their communications plan is and how they're, you know, reaching out to the community to let them know all the existing stuff that's happening on one end. And then on the other hand, you mentioned, you know, accessibility to the center and really knowing what it is and how to get there and what's going on. And that's actually been in the back of our minds. We just got started with a wayfinding project to help people know better that these community centers are out there, annexes, parks, all kinds of facilities that the precinct has. We're actively thinking about how do we let people know that they exist and that they're welcome to use them and take advantage of them. And so that's really good feedback.
well, may I make a suggestion?
Sure, absolutely.
The median right there at Lorenzo and Sheldon Road, put a sign up there that says VV Ramsey Community Center, Martin Flukinger. I think it's just an office now, but those there, and maybe below it saying senior citizen activities and exercise classes Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, you know, just some little spiel.
Yeah.
Saying the thing so that people driving past. You might also would have to put one closer to Sheldon, to I-10, but even just right there, and I say closer to I-10 because that part there, it's near Market Street and it's more industrial passing through. But if you really want to get the flow where people are, something nearer to I-10 and Sheldon Road would catch the eye. But a sign there, we don't even have a sign, and it's kind of like I said, it is like 3 blocks off the road. So it's not something that, unless you're looking for it, you're going to find.
Right, right.
A more obvious.
That's kind of what I meant when I said it's hard to get to. So few people know that it's there. But I've been there. There's been 200-300 people there. I mean, there's been so many people. The inside was full and the whole outside was full. I mean, we've had activity. I've been over there with them too. But I had to schedule. You know, we did an activity to start our bus routes and to wait in line to get an open date for that because it's so busy. They have a wonderful director over there. She's great.
Cindy, when it was just said that we didn't have one, I'm sure Cindy Miller would have been hopping up and down.
Oh, yeah.
Had she been on the
would
scene.
have.
Well,
They've been
Cindy's,
saying, "You goofball, we do."
Cindy's office is right next
She
door
would
in
have
the next building.
probably would have stroked out right then.
I know it.
Yes.
But that kind of shows you, you know, that there is. If I didn't know, and I've been here for this long,
Sure.
I'm either really slow or we just need to advertise it more. And one of the things that I did that we've been putting a few things on as I get them is I created again another Facebook page for Channelview information so that people can go out there and look and see, hey, what's going on in Channelview? We've got a grass pickup, or at the community center, we've got this going on. I said grass, trash pickup. You know, we can put things up there to say, hey, everybody, look, we've got this coming up.
One of the things they were talking about at one time, Jorge, you may remember this, about installing new signs, both at Flukinger and the one up there on Freeport. New signs that light up and look good, because the ones up there now are they're older than I am. That's pretty old. But Teresa Hester's the director at Flukinger, the one over there. She's great. And I mean, she gets right in there and she gets down in the grassroots. Gotta know she's there.
Yeah, but the nice sign, it should be put in a more visible area. I mean, the signs at the center themselves are good, but if you're not driving down Lorenzo Street, you're not going to see them.
Right.
So they need to be really, I've thought about this often, especially with getting more involved with things, is Channelview could really benefit in a community bulletin board type, something sort of like what maybe the high school has down there. You know, it's digital, so you can change it fairly easy. But something that lets people aware of when there's activities going on, not only just at the community center, but in
All over.
Yeah, all over.
Right.
Just
And
just
maybe
little,
not just precinct, but, community groups and
right.
everyone.
Where would you put it?
I think on Sheldon Road near I-10 somewhere. I wouldn't want it on the median so much as blocking the view, the traffic view. But
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Maybe on the corner there, near where the food town and stuff is, somewhere where it could be, people could read it. Even from that vantage, I mean, from there, they could read it from I-10. But somewhere that people knew to go if there was something going on, a disaster, a food drive, a whatever, exercising, a band at the community center, anything.
Food Truck Tuesday or something.
Yeah, anything like that, that they would just have a central place that they knew if they just wanted to know what was going on in Channelview, they could look at it. And I say on Sheldon Road because that's where the heavy traffic flow is. But if, say, we had a piece of property along Sheldon Road that was used as a food court truck, a sign there, food court, Food Truck Tuesday, and then other Channelview announcements, just anything that would, in a visible area that didn't obstruct traffic view, that people could know that to go look there if they wanted to know what was going on and where announcements could be made. Because actually that would be great if, when you're considering the industry that's in the area, if we were having, say we've had a restart of some issues going out at Lawndale, a restart and things, and it's been causing some concern because of the noise, people just not knowing what's going on. Or when there's various different plants around you who have issues. That right there, a bulletin board right there, which could have that on there, what's happening would be a great benefit to the residents of Channelview, of the whole area. And if we were having air quality conditions or anything that we needed to be aware of like that, to have a central location where it could announce all that type of information, you know.
Yeah.
If nothing's going on, have the community, this is going on at the community center, da, 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 da. But if something's happened, that takes precedence, and that's on a running loop. Saying,
Yeah, you could put that out there for people to, the care line number, so that if people have questions, what is this loud, horrendous noise that we're hearing, they have the information to call this care line to get the information, and it would be just a reminder, you know, something you could put up there, contact or call this number for information or whatever. Because that line exists, that phone number exists, so that people can call in and get information if there's a gas release or a fire or whatever, so that they can see what's going or hear what's going on.
I'm almost hearing sort of a compilation of resources, you know, specific for Channelview that is available for the whole community. And then, you know, sort of like a safe space for everyone to sort of not only gather, but to communicate and coordinate and have some sort of capacity building for existing residents to keep pushing forward, right? Because there's so many good efforts that are happening. And I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to improve that coordination, improve that communication with the broader community.
Yeah.
And, you know.
So one thing I was going to suggest is we put this topic in parking lot for now. Sorry to rush you.
No, that's okay.
And I need you all to come up with a vision statement. I took a stab at it based on our common themes, which I will write down. But if you all want to edit it, have a better idea, you know, this is just something very basic I started. So let's take a stab at a couple of ways we can say culmination of today's scenario building. What is the vision for 2030?
Do we write it on here, or do we just say it out loud?
I'll just say it and I'll type it.
So visioning for today, I would say it would be community members and residents working with governing and other beneficial entities for the improvement of Channelview.
So that I would say is more of an action step, or what you desire to happen. But a vision would be something like Channelview is a neighborhood that attracts. What do you see? Like what we created, you know, we created the story.
Yeah.
Now synthesize that story into one statement.
I was kind of thinking Channelview, a safe place to live, relax, and play.
I can go with that.
Just, you know, so that when people think of Channelview, it's like, oh yeah, they've got this.
A place you want to live.
Yeah.
Oh, how about this? A safe place to live. Play. 1, 2.
Call home.
Yeah. Yes. Call home. To be and call home.
Okay. Should we do a little play on words? Should I keep it like this with a dash in between? How do you want to combine the two? Channelview, a place you want to call home, safe to live.
I would add one other word in there, a beautiful place you want to live and relax. Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about what we would like to happen,
Yeah.
our goal, a beautiful place.
Safe and beautiful place to live, relax, and play, and then a dash, a place you want to call home. Does that sound like a good vision statement?
What you think, Cindy?
I like it.
Are Cindy and I the only two residents?
That's okay. We'll just make it our own, girl.
Yeah, you know what? If people didn't show up, they lost out. Like we said.
Well, I do know that Teresa Blackwood, Wood, who
well, she did say that she wanted to attend, and so did Cindy Miller. And we're recording this session, so we will put it up, or at least send it to them so they can be a part of it and maybe add what they might want to. But if we are good, you know what? We are actually on time. If
Should I go back so I can save it?
well, 1 second, yeah. So, ooh.
I think, I know I am, but I think maybe y'all found that here in Channelview, we are very opinionated, but it seems like we all have the same opinion.
Yeah, we want our community back.
Yeah.
No, that definitely helps. And so we are actually a little ahead of time, 10 minutes, maybe. Any closing remarks, Jorge? Brian?
No, thank you. Thank you for all your feedback. I think we're making progress. It's little by little, but it's coming together really nicely. So we'll just wait for more feedback on the map and the visual preference survey, and we'll be looking forward to the existing conditions and how that's coming together, and then we'll keep on chugging along to some preliminary recommendations. So I think this was very, very helpful in getting us there.
And to everyone here who can, I would like to say be prepared for a community comment session for the solutions that, or draft solutions that we will come up with to get to your statement. So if you can prepare everyone in the community that around the end of October, be ready to maybe attend one of these and tell us what you think of the ideas. Brian, sorry.
No, it's all right. I was just going to echo Jorge's statements. I appreciate your team's work and appreciate the community members who came out to participate in this today. And just want to thank everyone for that. And Paul Weiser, thanks for joining from Harris County Transit. And always appreciate to have your perspective on things as well. So certainly.
Absolutely, Brian. I always enjoy work with engineering. We work on many projects.
All right. Good. But no, that's it from me, Shai. Thank you.
Okay, so if there are no last comments, we can all get off earlier. But thank you all so very much for spending all this time with us. This truly, truly helps us and helps us make this your plan instead of, just coming up with our own ideas.
Thank y'all for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yes, and I echo that because I think we're a little desperate for opportunities around here, and to see or to have y'all listening is great. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great to hear. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, y'all take care. Have a good weekend.
Take care.
Thanks.
Oh, yes,
Thanks,
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Have a good weekend.
All right, y'all take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye, everyone.
thanks.
And bye-bye.